favorite people make me mad. Everything that feels so good is bad, bad, bad. All my favorite songs are slow and sad.
My name is Joey.
My name is James.
And this is the Brothers Padre.
Dear listeners, Joey and I don't want to be here today. We all know there are going to be weeks like this in baseball. And there's always slow times in baseball. We made a commitment to do this every week, to try this podcast out. And for the first time, we looked at each other thinking, do we still want to do this? Is it worth it?
Is this going to be a fun episode?
No, it's not. This is going to be a painful episode. This is going to be this is the most frustrating week as a sports fan I have had since the Padres lost the World Series in 1998.
Yeah, it's a pretty frustrating week. There's no way else to put it. We might as well just jump into the games. We'll try to go through them as much fast as we can, rather.
We don't want to dwell on them that much longer either.
But at the end, we're going to share some feelings, James. Some thoughts. I have some stats for you, too. So, James, without much further ado, should we recap the week in baseball from the San Diego Padres?
We said we were going to, so...
And let us, for the record state, you and I both said we'd go 3-3. Let's see how that pans out.
Oh, yes. And if you're listening to this and Padre fans, you should probably know. But if you're hoping that I don't know how to say now. It's a bad week, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bad week.
But here we go with game one, James.
April 16th.
We welcomed the Los Angeles Dodgers into town for what was be a very hot and contentious series, James. The whole baseball world was watching. It was the center of the baseball world.
It did not disappoint in that regard.
Dodgers came to town Friday night. We had our boy Ryan Weathers on the bump for us. Unfortunately, James, we were not able to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers. They beat us 11-6 with scoring 5 runs in the 12th inning. The Dodgers had 12 hits on 3 errors. The Padres had also 12 hits, also 3 errors.
It was an ugly game.
Very close, though.
Very, very close. The score does not represent how close that game was. We threw everything we had against the Dodgers. They threw everything they had against us. Our boy Weathers did a fantastic job. Truly, I think, earned a spot in the rotation. We put Tim Hill in 2 straight innings. He doesn't pitch 2 innings. He gave up a bunch of runs. I don't throw that on Palomar College at all.
No.
It was
2 innings in dumb extras.
Yes, in dumb extra innings. Yes.
Right.
Let's not. Yeah, dumb extra innings. Bench is cleared at one point. It was just frustration.
A brouhaha.
It was, again, it was everything it was promised to be. Unfortunately, the Padres came out short, but it was still a great game. That game was as intense and as fun to watch as any playoff game I have seen in the last 20 years.
Manny Machado manufactured runs, multiple stolen bases, really kept us in the game. In my notes, I said he's the greatest athlete of all time. That may have been the heat of the moment, but he looked incredible this game.
He threw his body at the Dodgers, and he manufactured runs. Nothing about this terrible week we're going to describe is Manny Machado's fault. He did everything he could. He is truly the best player we have on the Padres.
Yep.
Just leadership-wise, skill-wise, everything-wise. He is the best player we have. And then... Yeah, but it wasn't good enough, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think what the issue was is the same things that we're seeing come around this week came around this also in this game. Rather, the same things that we'll see consistently when we recap the episodes also happened here. Couldn't get the big hit. We stretched our bullpen out. Ryan Weathers was the youngest pitcher in the majors. In his first big league start, working with the second youngest catcher in baseball. So he only threw 3 2/3, which for him is great.
It was excellent.
We just can't. We need length, and this game did not give us that in the starting pitching.
Hence why in the last inning, Jake Cronenworth was our pitcher.
In the last inning, the last out for the second to last out in the Dodgers, David Price, because they were out of bench players, hit a sacrifice fly to
Joe Musgrove, because we were out of defensive players.
which was that pitch, of course, was thrown by
Jake Cronenworth, because we were out of pitchers. It was, again, we both sides emptied our dugouts and bullpens at each other. It was like watching the Battle of Waterloo. Just throw everything we have at each other to see who wins.
And, I think we gave away 2 runs in the first 9 innings with a couple of errors. And you just can't do that with a team like the Dodgers. You cannot give away runs. They will take advantage, at the very least, make up those runs. Yeah, just somewhat ugly baseball. But Dodgers took the day, James. Any other thoughts before I move on to game 2?
No, not at all.
Game 2, Saturday, April 17th, 2021. Los Angeles Dodgers versus the San Diego Padres.
Hugh Darvish on the bump.
Yu Darvish looked awesome. Gave us lots and lots of innings. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 earned run, 2 walks on 9 strikeouts. Unfortunately, James, that was enough to beat us 2-0. Padres had 0 runs, 3 hits, and 0 errors. And the Dodgers had 2 runs, 3 hits on 1 error.
Our pitching staff was phenomenal. Their pitching staff was phenomenal.
Darvish is exactly what we wanted him to be. He came back and he saved the bullpen for 7 innings. Was basically, he's done this now a couple of times. And same with Musgrove. They've now come and pitched 7 innings, 6-7 innings to help out the bullpen. Looking good. Darvish's weirdness was one of he gave up that weird walk to Kershaw. Kershaw just legitimately had the best at bat probably against them of any hitter on the Dodgers.
So, side note, Hugh Darvish and Clayton Kershaw are apparently best friends.
They play catch every offseason.
They play catch every offseason. They when they were teammates, they were catchmates, and they apparently share all of their strategies with each other. So yes, he knows Darvish better than probably any other hitter in baseball, which is weird to say.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense that pitchers can do those sorts of things, but it was another weird game. Umpires have been trash. Tom Hallion makes 2 appearances this week for us. Tom Hallion was trash in this game.
Absolute trash.
Gave up.
Absolute trash.
And this is not trash towards the Padres or Dodgers. It's just trash. He's just calling pitches outside in the zone, and he's not calling. He's not calling balls in the zone as strikes, and he's calling inside and outside pitches as strikes. You just can't do that. You cannot do that in this age of analytics.
And here's the thing: if your strike zone is wide and short, nobody is offended by that if it's consistent through 9 innings.
Yep.
If by the 8th inning, okay, anything on my high is going to be a ball, and anything just outside of the strike zone is going to be a strike, pitchers and hitters will adjust to that because they're big league ball players.
Right,
they're hired with big league money to do this. But when it's, that outside pitch was a strike 2 strikes ago, and now it's a ball, this right down the middle pitch is a ball, and it was clearly a strike 2 pitches ago. That's what's the frustrating part about this. And I said this in a previous episode. If I know Tom Holliard's name, he is doing a bad job as an umpire. Right. You should not know an umpire's name.
Yep. This game also had another brouhaha, James. Clayton Kershaw accused Jerickson Profar of, I guess the word would be, inducing a catcher's interference. On a 3-2 pitch, Jerickson Profar takes an ugly swing and hits the catcher's mitt. So it was like Kershaw literally accused Profar of saying, "Hey, you caused this. Like you wanted to get catcher interference. It would be a strikeout otherwise." And benches, I mean, it was like a baseball bench clearing. It wasn't really a fight. So I don't know what to think about that. I've seen Kershaw pitch a lot in my being a Padres fan. And he causes weird swings all the time because he's one of the best pitchers of our generation. So what do you think, James? Do you think he intentionally did it?
I have seen Kershaw make many a Padre look like a fool with swings. I have also seen Jerickson make this weird protective swing before. And Will Smith's glove was really... He extended his hand quite far. I think it was an accident all around. I think Clayton Kershaw was pumped up and wanted to cause some drama because he's
a competitor.
He's a competitor. I was going to say a nasty word there, but he's also just kind of a little whiner baby when things don't go his way. But unfortunately, unlike some players, when things don't go his way, he doesn't collapse. He becomes a better pitcher. Yeah. And that's why he's one of the best pitchers of all time. The one thing I will say is when Jerickson eventually went to first base and they were still jawing at each other, Max Muncy, who's a former teammate of Jerickson Profar, and everyone who knows Jerickson thinks he's a great guy. He's a stand-up person, unlike most anybody else in the Dodgers. Muncy was like, okay. And he looked over at Kershaw's like, he didn't mean to, you know?
Yeah.
And Muncy's like, I'll talk to him. Jerickson did not do it on purpose. It was just, again, it was the height emotions of this series.
Yeah. And we cannot talk about this game without talking about, of course, the bottom of the ninth inning. There are two runners on, second and third, and up comes
the struggling Tommy Pham. Needs a hit to turn his life around. Needs a big hit. And you could just tell if he gets a one big hit, he will be an all-star. Just he's about ready to explode.
Tommy Pham gets a pitch, and he hits a pitch into the gap of Petco Park. And it looks like from our vantage point on TV, like, oh, this is going to be tie the game.
And out of nowhere
comes
like the spirit of darkness and just swooping in like an avenging angel. Mookie Betts makes the greatest defensive play of all year so far.
Oh, yeah. According to Advanced Metric, had a 10% catch probability. It's literally a 5-star catch. Like it's the best kind of catch you can make. Lays out. And it's Mookie Betts. And it's just very frustrating because
he is a professional athlete. Doesn't matter what sport he would be in, he would be the best at that sport.
It was a rough way to end it. But once again, made us remember, we're right there with the Dodgers in the series.
Yes.
Shall I move on to game 3, James? Sunday,
we have to.
April 18th. I was in the building, James.
You were indeed.
I was in the building watching Mr. Blake Snell versus Mr. Trevor Bauer. James, the San Diego Padres beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-2 with 7 hits and no errors, and the Dodgers had 3 hits on 1 error. This was a very fun game, not just because I was in person, mostly because we won. It was just a super fun game because you saw Snell and Bauer like just go back and forth. You really like those two were just there's a reason why they're both
Cy Young winners.
Cy Young winners. They're both confident in themselves to pitch very good games. Snell gives up a 2-run homer. That's it. Cronenworth takes a Bauer curveball deep, his longest home run of his career. And the Padres tie it up. And I think the biggest inning this week, obviously would be from this game. We had a 3-run 8th inning, James, where we saw Hosmer come through against Brusdar Graterol. Brusdar Graterol, of course, is not well liked by Padres fans. So that was super awesome to see. And then see Tommy Pham come through with a big double that scores 2 runs. We see Fernando Tatis be a freak of an athlete and tippy-toe himself on third. He basically was able to stay on third despite being halfway off the bag. He uses his crazy long legs and stays on the bag.
They call it his matrix slides.
And that allowed for Tommy Pham to score 2 runs. It was a very fun, very, very, very fun victory, James.
It was if we did not come away with at least one win against the Dodgers, it would have been depressing.
Oh, yeah.
And this whole week would have been the worst week of my life. But the victory, and to prove that we could beat Bauer, their biggest acquisition of the offseason,
Right.
Their acquisition they made just to match some of the moves the Padres made. I don't care what they say, it's the only reason why they signed Bauer, and we were able to beat him. And Machado was able to hit off him again.
Machado got 2 hits off them. Bauer said it's improvement because he kept him in the ballpark.
Yes.
It's pretty funny. The Padres against the Dodgers this past weekend, the starters, 15.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 runs, 19 Ks against the best team in baseball. That will play.
That is there is no team in professional baseball that wouldn't take those stats from their starters.
Yep. Awesome stuff. Fun game. Kim actually had a pretty good at bat. Bauer got a call off the outside corner, but I think we've talked a lot about Kim before, but I think this week he saw really big improvements. He's actually hitting high velocity pitches. He's still uncomfortable, I think, with some big league pitches, but I think he really can contribute even now.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty cool. And seeing Pham get a big hit was awesome. Any other thoughts about the Dodgers series, James?
No, because everything just bleeds into the next series, Joseph. And then this next series is heartbreaking.
Game 4 of the week, James. We welcome in the Milwaukee Brewers into town.
Yep.
The Milwaukee Brewers come into town, and they bring in Mr. Brandon Woodruff for the first game, and the Padres, for the first inning of this game, get 1 run. We're like, oh wow, we're gonna work this guy. Brandon Woodruff threw 30 pitches in the first inning. You're like, oh wow, we're gonna defeat one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yes.
And Brandon Woodruff's like, no, reason why I'm one of the best pitchers in baseball because I get better as the game goes along. And that's the only run we scored. The Brewers came back to score 3 more runs. So we lost 3-1 versus the Milwaukee Brewers who had 5 hits and we had 2 hits, James. But no errors either way. It was one of those games where you didn't really have tons of opportunity. It just was like, oh, this guy just beat us.
And the thing that's frustrating is Joe Musgrove started the game for us, and if the season ended today, Joe Musgrove would be in high contention for Cy Young.
Oh, yeah.
He struck out 13 Brewers, the highest strikeout of his career. He only gave up 2 solo shots, but he mowed them down. He went pitch for pitch against the Brewers, and against Woodruff, and he clearly is another ace in our staff. And we just couldn't get any more runs against the Brewers. And then the Brewers had another solo shot against our relievers. It wasn't the worst game because we were just outpitched. It was sad because Musgrove deserved to win. You can't strike out 13 Brewers and not think you're going to get a win.
Right. The questionable offense happened in the 8th, James. Jorge Mateo comes in. A bunt is called. He pops up the bunt. The runner on first. And so the runner goes back to first. And then Jerickson Profar comes up. And stop me if you've heard this one before. The inning ends with a grounded to double play. You know what? We don't line in a lot of double plays. We just ground into them.
Yeah.
I guess that's better. I know it is.
No, it's not. It's a weak Weak sauce double plays.
That is game 4. Joe Musgrove pitched his heart out. One thing I want to add about that is he had no double-digit strikeouts in his first 81 career starts. He's had 4 in his last 6 starts.
He's turned a corner of his
mind.
career. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Padres get to witness this. Padre fans get to witness this firsthand,
Yep.
and there's no bad news there.
Moving on to game number 5.
That's what, April 20th now?
For those who celebrate, April 20th. The Milwaukee Brewers come into town and handily beat the San Diego Padres 6-0. Christopher Paddock faces Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns pitched very well also, but got very lucky also. Chris Paddock kind of spiraled in the third. 5 runs score. The third inning, the Padres are unable to score a single run after Mr. Corbin Burns or any of the Milwaukee pitchers, hence losing 6-0. And there's Padres are charged with 1 error on 6 hits, and Milwaukee Brewers are charged with 10 hits on 1 error.
Up until this point, there had been no bad Padres starts this week. All Padres starters did a...
I mean, Paddock, the other start wasn't great either.
Well, Paddock didn't start again during this week.
Oh, this week. Sorry,
This
I
week
said
we
this season.
covered.
Yeah,
This week
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
currently talking about.
Right.
I've said before, I think Paddock is becoming a liability. He cannot seem to turn it around when he's having a bad inning. He'll be lights out for 2 innings, and then he'll just forget how to pitch for a whole inning. That, to me, sounds like he should be in the bullpen. If you could come out of the bullpen and knock out a team for a whole inning or 2,
Right.
that's a perfect bullpen arm. He is not a starter. Obviously, this is a bad week to talk about it, but he is a liability in our rotation that is the best, one of the best rotations in the league, shown by this week, even though we only have 1 W to show it. He is the biggest liability in our arms, and it isn't like, oh, he had 1 bad start like Snell did. No, this guy continually is having bad starts.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't want to be in a place where you don't want to put your pitcher in a place of like, hey, we aired out. Sorry, there's a guy on base. But the pitcher has to be able to overcome that and help the team, because only 1 of those runs were earned to him. I know that's how that works. I know how that stat works, but Paddock needs to find it in himself to stop the bleeding. He needs to find it. He cannot allow 4 runs and just spiral like this. And then he came back, like I said, and 2 shot. Like he pitched 5 innings, 4 no runs, 1 5 runs. And just, you can't do that. You cannot. You have to stop it somehow.
And clearly, during the when he went and sat down, he got his head right. He just has to do that while he's on the mound.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think he has the ability to. People have made the same thing with Pham, right? It's like there are peripherals there that are incredible, that are really, very good. It's just the way he stacks them is just not working out currently. I think now that with the news that we'll talk about possibly the next game, he's going to be around a little bit more. But this game also had. We'll talk more about that when we talk about our feelings, James.
Yes.
Big hit's still not happening. We left the bases loaded again to end an inning. McKinney, who's some guy for the Brewers, replaced some other guy named Christian Yelich. Makes no difference because he hit like Christian Yelich and he fielded like Christian Yelich.
Yeah, it was like,
Another incredible diving play. Myers has runs on first and third. Myers hits a frozen rope to left field, and Billy McKinney lays out and just robs Meyer of a multi-RBI double. Very frustrating. I was very frustrated. I think I texted you like, all right, I'm gonna take a walk.
Yes, you did.
I can't.
You did, in fact, say.
I just can't. I can't.
My daughter and I need to go take a walk right now.
It was rough. Moving on to game number 6, James. You and I were in the building, James.
We were. We got some pretty good seats right on third base side.
We saw Lamet make a season premiere.
He looked sharp as ever on the first 2 innings of pitching.
And then you and I are having a good time. We're ordering drinks. We're having food.
I had some Randy Jones barbecue.
And at the top of the 3rd inning, Craig Stammen comes out. What?
Why is Stammen pitching?
And then, for those who don't know, Dinelson Lamet, late last season, September, left with forearm tightness and decided to opt out of surgery and try to rehab his elbow as a way to not do surgery. He's been injured. He's been in the offsite for a while. And so this is his first real start against real players. So we thought this wasn't going to happen, but he left with left forearm tightness. We do not know currently what the prognosis is.
Chase Tingler did tweet he thinks it was just adrenaline from his first big league game being back. But Tingler's an optimist.
Do you know, it happens to me all the time. When I'm super excited, my UCL also freezes.
I mean, doesn't everybody's?
Regardless, James, the San Diego Padres were not able to beat the Milwaukee Brewers. They beat us 4-2 on 7 hits and 0 errors. The San Diego Padres had 7 hits on 1 error. San Diego Padres get swept by the Brew Crew, the Beard Ones of Milwaukee. This game was the toughest game to watch of this entire week.
It was.
Not just because we were in person. I don't know, man. This was just rough because you look at the box score and it's, they got 1 run in the 4th. Kella imploded in the 6th, gave up 3 runs. Kella just didn't have it. He just was not located.
He was missing his spots.
And it was chilly that day. It was like the high 50s. Very rare for Petco Park. So maybe Kella's like, he's from, he's
Texas?
from LA. He's Polynesian. He likes warmer weather. He likes warmer weather, man. I like warmer weather.
Who doesn't like warmer weather?
Regardless, we should have still won this game because in the 8th inning, James, you know what happened? Remember what happened in the 8th inning?
I was there. Bases loaded. Typical Padres.
Base load with no outs.
Bases loaded. No, I'm saying, yeah. Tatis gets on. Machado gets on. Hosmer walks. No outs. Bases loaded. And nothing. And we're down 4-2.
1 run is helpful. This
1 run is helpful. Freaking throw your body at the baseball and get hit and walk in a run. Anything would have been better than what happened, Joseph. What did happen?
The Padres faced 10 pitches after that and proceed to strike out all 3 batters. They left 3 people on with no outs.
It was Mateo, Myers, and Pham.
Yep. Oh, is it? It might have been Myers, Pham, Caratini.
That's right, it was. Yes, right. Sorry, it was Myers. At the very least, Myers and Caratini swung and missed at the ball.
Dude,
At least they tried.
Pham gets it to 3-2. He gets the count to 3-2, and a breaking pitch just comes into the zone. He does nothing with it.
Down the middle. Doesn't matter. It never, even when it was before it broke, it was still a strike.
Right.
It was, he clearly was looking for something different. But you can't put it all on him, even though he looked like he'd never held a bat before up until that point.
Yep.
Myers missed and Caratini missed. It was... You cannot be a Major League Baseball team and have the bases loaded with no outs and not get 1 run. It
Especially considering you were the team that hit all those grand slams.
Yeah, Slam Diego. This is not. Oh my God. And even more frustrating thing about it, Kela had a terrible inning that he just did not have it. It happens. It sucks. It happens.
Baseball.
It's baseball. The San Diego Padres pitching staff yesterday struck out 17 Brewers. That's not dominant. That's next level dominant. No team should strike out another team 17 times and walk away with an L. We should not have lost that game. 17 strikeouts. That means they only put the ball in play 10 times. Our pitching staff, there isn't a single, I don't care what team, even the Dodgers, major league team in baseball right now that wouldn't take the Padres pitching staff, including Paddock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We were dominant. Our hitting staff just did not pull through. And the thing is, we did see some. Machado continues to hit.
Tatis is warming up.
He got 2 hits, including a double yesterday.
Better. He's seen the ball way better.
Yeah.
He got on base. He got on base in the 8th and the 9th.
Yeah, he
got the opportunity.
Yeah, he it's the further down the line. It's once we passed Hosmer, no one seems to know how to hit anymore. And I'm going to throw our boy Myers under their bus, too. He hasn't been hitting in these circumstances either for the past 2 weeks.
So this is now going to transition more into the feelings part of the episode because it ties into what we're talking about. Because there's a difference between the 8th and the 9th. Let's talk about that real fast in this game. 8th inning, basically load, no one out, and we can't do anything. That's disrespectful. That's bad. The 9th inning comes up. Tatis gets on base. There's 2 outs. And then Josh Hader obviously pitches around Machado to get to Hosmer. Hosmer does get to 3-2 in the at-bat, but it's Josh Hader versus a guy who literally sits against left-handed pitching.
Yes.
It's getting beat there is different, right? You just literally the pitcher decided, hey, with Tatis on base, I don't want to face one of the best right-handed hard hit hitters in baseball, Manny Machado. I'm going to take my chance against Hosmer. That's just good gamesmanship. You're okay getting beat that way. You're not okay getting beat when literally you just have to do a sac fly, or even if they grounded to a double play, it would have scored a run most likely.
We've grounded them. Exactly. We've grounded 24 double plays so far this season. 10 more than anybody else in all of baseball.
I think it's 26 now. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to look.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many double plays. We've grounded. How many times we had? Oh, double play, grounded, double play. Even a double play would have scored 1 run.
Yep. This is now in the feelings about our offense, James. You want some statistics, James, to make you feel good?
All right.
We are first in MLB in earned run averages and strikeouts. We're 4th in on base percentage. That's pretty good.
That means we're getting on base, and our pitchers are not getting the other team on base.
We have left 157 people on base so far. We have 18 errors and 22 double plays. We're the worst in National League in slugging, and our running score position, we're 37 for 179. It just... Okay, it's
so unbelievably comical. It's just sad. It's just, yes, we're in a slump. We understand we're in a slump. This isn't going to be the whole season. It can't be the whole season. We're too good. You cannot have the 4th best on base percentage.
And then also like last place in slugging in the National League.
That's not, those 2 numbers do not coincide unless things are not happening correctly. And it just severely bad luck. The Padres cannot seem to get the ball in the air when they need to.
If we concede a Tommy Pham and Will Myers hit, let's just say we got those 2 hits in the Brewers game and the Betts game. Betts misses the ball. Those numbers barely change.
I know. Yeah. So to say this is a slow start for the Padres is an understatement. And yes, last year we were the second best team in baseball record-wise, and we also had a slow start. I understand the Padres, for some reason, are just slow starters.
I think that in 2020, in the same game span, we had 31 home runs. Sorry, in 2020, we actually started with 17 home runs, and this year we have 31 home runs.
So we're actually hitting better than we did last year. We are
home runs wise.
And home runs wise.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird. It definitely seems like our on base percentage is. We're not terrible. We're 10-10. It's just the opportunity we had. Like 2020 was when you saw a runner in a scoring position, you're like, oh, he's come in. Like he's going to come in to score.
Yeah. If we left the bases loaded in 2020, that means the bases were loaded 4 times that inning, and we kept on knocking them in.
To give you some historical context about our offense and about our slow start, 2005, James, 20 game span, we were 9-11. We won the NL West that year. 2006, we were 8-12. We also won the NL West that year. In 1984, we were 14-6. We went to the World Series that year. In 1998, we were 16-4, and we won the NL West and went to the World Series. What does that mean? I don't know. That's just numbers, baby.
Yeah, just numbers. Nobody on those teams or on us team. Is it just the bad luck of the Padres? I don't know.
Dan O'Dowd on the MLB Network was saying he thinks that high-powered offenses weren't given enough looks in spring training. He said there just wasn't enough at bats because he was talking about the Yankees because the Yankees have a very, very bad start this year.
Yes,
but he said in general, Dan O'Dowd, former GM, said he thinks in general most teams did not get enough good professional looks during the spring training, and so he says a lot of high-powered offenses are not being high-powered because of that. I don't know how much stock I put into that because we don't really need high power offense. We just singles are fine. We just need some sort of contact.
Yeah.
It's this 6 game stretch was so rough. We predicted 3-3 and ended up 1-5.
And the thing that's frustrating, we talked about we were going to run into arguably the best pitchers in the National League on the Dodgers and the Brewers. They're all good pitchers. And the guy that we beat is arguably the best of all of them.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer, yeah. Even though Corbin Burns hasn't allowed a walk this year.
Oh, I know. And I'm just saying, like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Beginning of the season, everyone was saying Trevor Bauer might double up his Cy Young wins.
Right. He still might.
Yeah. Corbin Burns is insane. Woodruff is insane.
Yeah.
The Puker is all right. He's still good. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up John Boy, the Puker video, and you'll know what we're talking about. Anyways, so it is so frustrating because we went many of these games pitch for pitch against them, and our offense could not get together. And it was painful to watch.
I think what's the good of this is our pitching is still very, very good. And now we should move more into the pitching side of our feelings now because whereas it's very good, there's still some question marks. Adrian Morejon went down. Going to get Tommy John. He's super young, so I think that career perspective, he's probably going to be fine, especially his an off-speed pitch that's just gnarly. Dinelson Lamet is like a huge question mark because I do not buy that's adrenaline. You just cannot tell me. You just can't tell me it's adrenaline. He's an athlete. You're telling me he hasn't been in that moment before on a chilly Wednesday afternoon? Like, are you, maybe he is. I don't know. So let's just say, for example, for the sake of this discussion, let's say he's not coming back. Let's say he's going to get another Tommy John. It'll be a second Tommy John in his career. That leaves our rotation as I think should be Darvish, Snell, Musgrove, Weathers, and Paddock, right?
Yes.
And that's what we've been carting out there every week, every 5 games anyway. And we're doing okay. 10-10 is not a terrible start. And it's not terrible when our ERA is so good and we're striking out people like crazy.
No, again, we had the last.
I will say though that no Lamet this season. Before I'll let you finish in a second, but no Lamet means our playoff chances, depth, need to go down because relying on Weathers and Paddock. Listen, no one's going to confuse us for being Weathers haters. We love that kid.
Yeah.
But he's still a kid. He's still very young, and I know his first appearance ever in the big leagues was in the playoffs, and he struck out a bunch of Dodgers, but it's still different. So without Lamet, we're gonna need another horse. We're gonna need something because we need if this is truly going to be the year that Padres turn around and get deep in the playoffs, we need someone to replace Lamet. And I just don't think. I don't think Paddock really turns it around this year.
I don't either.
I don't, and maybe he does. I would love to eat humble pie next week. I would love that next episode, Paddock throws a perfect game in Dodger Stadium. Like, I would love that.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't love to see Paddock come out and just dominate? Not just because I have 3 of his rookie cards, but also he is a fun pitcher to watch. He is
Right.
emotional. He does care a lot about it. He does get just charged. But he needs to turn it around. I was saying this past 6 games, our pitching staff only had 3 bad innings. Tim Hill, the last of the 12th inning, again, I don't think that was Tim Hill's fault. That was, we were out of pitchers. He went an inning longer than he ever goes before. He was hitting right hand. He was facing right-handers. He doesn't face right-handers. He's a left-handed specialist.
And second inning of an extra innings relief, like in dumb extra inning rules. Like, yeah.
Paddock had a forget how to pitch inning, and Kella just was not sharp.
We can't, this is baseball. You cannot rely on everyone being perfect all the time.
No, you can't.
So,
But when 3 pitchers out of how many pitchers do we have? 15 on our team right now?
No, I think 13.
Anyways.
Yeah.
There's only 3 bad innings and everybody else was dominant. That's a winning scenario. We just need our hitting to be more consistent. And if we keep throwing if we don't continue to get long innings, games from our starters, this will go down because we cannot keep throwing our relievers in inning after inning after inning and eat up their arms. The reason why they're called starters is because they can go 5 innings.
Yep. James, despite all the negativity, despite all the doweriness, it's still baseball, baby.
Still baseball.
I'm still happy baseball's around. Still happy that, that we're complaining about starting 10-10. Because there are some years that I looked up that we started 5-15, 6-14, 7-13. Yeah, those days aren't now.
No.
So I'm happy we're that.
But here's the thing about those seasons. We also ended the season with only like 60 wins. We're not going to be that team this year. We are definitely going to be a top tier team. We just need to turn around. That's the thing about it. It's just so frustrating to see a team we know is going to be good not being good.
Right. Yeah. I think that we're going to see some more great performances.
And so if you're frustrated, think of the Padres team as a Clint Eastwood movie.
Right.
I'm going to get really nerdy here because
So what era of Clint Eastwood movie?
All Clint Eastwood movies.
Okay.
All right. So
including Gran Torino?
Just can you let me finish? Can you let me finish with my metaphor? I worked all week on this. Just calm down. Okay, I thought of it about 20 minutes ago. All right. Joey and I both went to film school.
With Tim Hill.
With Tim Hill. No, not with Tim Hill. But Tim Hill was a few years younger than us. Every Clint Eastwood movie, no matter which one you watch, has about 30 minutes where you just cut out because it's slow and it just drags the movie out.
I think you're describing the Fistful of Dollars trilogy.
I could go down all the movies if you want. Like $1 Million Baby, the last half hour, it's boring. Unforgiven, the first half hour, boring. The Space Cowboys, middle of that movie, boring. The only movie his movies always just have like a point where it just sort of drags on a bit too long and just doesn't make, just is not exciting. I think that's what the Padres are. Our beginning of this team, the beginning of this year feels a lot like we're just dragging on. We haven't clicked yet. We haven't become brilliant. So yes, I'm saying our season is a lot like the movie Unforgiven. First half hour, so it's not gonna be the best. It's gonna be kind of slow. But you know what it's set up to? You know what it's set up to, Joe?
What?
It's setting up to the greatest Western of all time. That's what's happening.
There's no other better way to end it, James.
No.
Remember to like us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell. We're on Spotify, James. We're on Apple Podcasts. Keep leaving us feedback. We love it. We're on Twitter at Brothers Padre. We're both on Twitter. At us, at Joey Hosford, at James Hosford.
Yes. James M. Hosford. There was
at James Hosford.
There was
at James M. Hosford.
James M. Hosford. There was another James Hosford for some reason. I don't know who he is. He's some guy who lives in Indiana.
Yeah. Thanks for the listenership. We'll be back on Tuesday. A little more, like I said, we're going to do 2 episodes a week now. Kind of like a more broad one on Tuesday, and then the recap on Thursdays. James, go Padres.
Go Padres.